They begged me not to say this out loud, not because it's dangerous, but because it's true, because once you hear it, you'll never unsee it. And when you act on it, everything about women will change. Not just how they treat you, but how they look at you, how they chase you, how they fear losing you. See, there's something women never wanted men to figure out, a hidden emotional code. A psychological blueprint that keeps them in control, keeps you doubting your worth, chasing their validation, and mistaking their silence for love. But once a man wakes up, once he learns the one thing that flips the emotional script, women panic. Because they know once you reclaim your power, you become unreachable, no more chasing, no more begging, no more asking, "What did I do wrong?" You'll finally see her behavior for what it really is, not affection, not loyalty, but control dressed as connection, and the second you stop reacting to her games, the moment you stop giving her what she used to manipulate you with, that's when she realizes you're not the same man anymore, you're colder, calmer, more focused, you've stopped explaining and started disappearing. And that silence, it terrifies her, because now she's not in control, you are. This is the shift they never wanted you to make. Because once men understand this, women can't play the game the same way again, and they know it. Let's talk about what this really is, and why once you know, she'll never be able to treat you the same again. The biggest mistake men make today is thinking they have to be perfect to be loved, that they have to have it all together, the right words, the right job, the right body, the perfect energy, just to be seen. But let me break that lie today, because women are not looking for your perfection. They're searching, sometimes without even knowing it, for something far more rare, your presence. See, presence isn't about doing the most. It's not about constant texting, planning romantic dates every week, or bending over backwards to make her smile. That might feel like love to you, that might feel like effort, but to her it's noise, because if your spirit isn't there, if your attention isn't anchored, she doesn't feel you. She only sees what you're trying to prove, and women are masters at sensing emotional absence. You could be sitting right beside her, saying all the right things, but if your mind is chasing her approval, if your heart is secretly begging for her validation, she feels it. She might not say it, but her body knows, her intuition knows, and that's when she starts to pull away. Not because she's confused, but because something in her whispers, he doesn't see himself yet. Presence is when you're here emotionally. Not scrambling to win her, but simply being calm, being rooted, being enough. It's when you look at her with clarity, not fear. When you listen with intention, not anxiety. When you can sit in silence, without trying to fill the space to keep her interested, because you are already at peace with yourself. The truth is, a man who is present becomes unforgettable. He's not flashy, but he's felt. He doesn't flood her phone with texts, but his absence echoes. He doesn't compete with other men, because there is no competition when a man knows who he is. And when a woman encounters that kind of man, one who doesn't chase, one who doesn't over-explain, one who doesn't need her affection to validate his existence, she feels something different. She feels safe, she feels challenged, she feels alive, because your presence, not your perfection, awakens her feminine energy. It invites her to relax, to open, to trust, it tells her. You don't have to perform here. You're not being judged. I see you, and I'm here. And in that moment, she softens not because of what you did, but because of who you are. But most men never get there. They're too busy performing, they're too busy proving, and in the process they lose the very thing that would have made her stay, their peace. Their stillness, their presence. So I'm telling you this not as a strategy to get her to like you. I'm telling you this so you can remember that you were never meant to perform for love. You were meant to embody it, and once you do that, once you stop trying to be perfect and start showing up present, she'll feel you. And she'll never forget you. Let's talk about energy, not the kind that shows up in loud gestures or flashy outfits. I'm talking about the quiet, invisible energy that walks into a room before you do. The kind that tells a woman everything she needs to know about you without you saying a single word. Because whether you realize it or not, your energy is always teaching people how to treat you, especially women. You can't fake it. You can't perform your way out of it. You are what you carry, and when your energy is needy, unsure, self-doubting, always trying to please, she feels it. She may not call it out directly, but she'll react. She'll test your boundaries. She'll take a little more than she gives. She'll push to see how far you'll bend, and if you bend too far, if you keep shrinking yourself to make her comfortable, to avoid rocking the boat, to keep her around, she loses respect. She may not even know why, but something in her just stops trusting you, because a man who doesn't honor himself cannot be trusted to honor her. Your energy is your frame. It's the emotional boundary you carry into every interaction. And when you walk in your worth, when you show up clear on what you will and won't tolerate, not just in your words, but in your spirit, you immediately change the dynamic. Suddenly, she's not in control. She's not testing you to see how much power she has. She's looking to see if she's worthy of your space. She starts adjusting herself to fit your standards, but most men don't believe they have that power. They give it away through over-apologizing, through silence in the face of disrespect, through chasing women who barely text back, through tolerating mood swings, manipulation, coldness just to avoid being alone. And the longer you allow that behavior, the more you train her to believe it's okay, that she can take without giving, that she can hurt without consequence, that you'll always be there no matter how she shows up. But here's the hard truth. A woman cannot love a man she does not respect, and she cannot respect a man who cannot protect his energy. Not protect her. Protect himself, his peace, his mission, his standards, his emotions. When a woman feels that you are emotionally solid, that you don't need her chaos to feel alive, that you can say no, with a soft voice and walk away without drama, she takes notice. Her feminine energy either rises to match yours, or she falls away, and either one is a win for you, because you are no longer available to be emotionally manipulated just to feel wanted. Your energy is your armor. It tells her, you don't get to throw your moods at me like weapons. You don't get to earn intimacy without effort. I don't just give, I require. And when you walk in that kind of energy, you stop teaching women to use you and start teaching them to value you. There's a moment in every man's life when he has to stop explaining himself, stop trying to be understood by people who are committed to misunderstanding him, stop fighting to prove his heart, his intentions, his loyalty, especially to a woman who already decided she could treat him carelessly and he'd still stay. That moment is sacred. It's the beginning of a man's transformation, because the truth is, women hear you the first time. When you say you love her, when you say you're hurt, when you say you need her to show up differently, she hears it, she understands it, but if she doesn't respect you, if she doesn't fear losing you, she doesn't respond to it. So what do most men do? They repeat themselves, they explain more. They write paragraphs, send long messages, pour out their hearts in voice notes, trying to make her see what they're feeling. But that only makes her colder, more distant, more confident that she still has power over your emotions. Because the more you explain, the more she learns how far you're willing to go for someone who's not even meeting you halfway. And you think being vulnerable will save the relationship, but it's not vulnerability if it's not respected. It's self-abandonment, so here's the shift. Stop explaining, start disappearing, not as a strategy to manipulate her, but as an act of self-respect. If she doesn't respond to your needs, your truth, your love, you don't yell, you exit, quietly, fully, without drama, without warning, with dignity. There's something terrifying about a man who disappears in silence. Not because he's angry, but because he's done. He doesn't need to prove anything anymore. He's not trying to fix it. He's not chasing closure, he's simply honoring his soul, and that silence, it echoes, it lingers, it hits her at 2 a.m. when she checks your profile and sees that you've moved on. It hits her when she realizes you didn't block her. You just stopped caring. You became unavailable, and that unavailability isn't about pettiness. It's about alignment. You're not walking away from love. You're walking away from disrespect, from confusion, from emotional poverty. You're not abandoning her. You're choosing you, and when you do that, you shift the emotional balance. You stop being the man who begged, and become the man she regrets losing. But here's the thing, by then it's too late. You're already gone, you're already healing, you're already building a life so full she no longer fits inside it. So the next time you're tempted to over-explain, to defend your character, to beg for love, remember this. Your silence is your final word. Your absence is your loudest answer. Let her wonder, let her miss you, let her sit in the emptiness she created. Because you didn't disappear to be cruel, you disappeared to protect your peace. Men, I need you to understand this. You were not born to orbit her world. You were not created to spin in circles around her moods, her desires, her timing. That's not love. That's captivity. And too many of you are enslaved to a woman's approval, waking up every day wondering, what do I need to do to keep her happy? But what about you? What about your mission? What about your fire? Let me tell you something most women won't admit out loud because it scares them. A man on a mission is dangerous. Not because he hurts anyone, but because he can't be controlled. His emotions aren't dictated by her silence. His self-worth isn't defined by her affection. His direction isn't interrupted by rejection, and that is magnetic. That is what keeps a woman up at night, thinking about you long after you've stopped calling. A man chasing purpose walks differently. He doesn't walk behind her, hoping to be chosen. He walks forward, focused, driven, and she has to catch up. That's not ego, that's alignment. See, when you make a woman your purpose, you lose your identity. You slowly disappear. You stop building. You stop dreaming. You trade your ambitions for attention. And the worst part, she starts to resent you for it. Because deep down, she doesn't want a man who makes her his everything. She wants a man who already had something going before she came along, something so powerful that it made her want to earn a place in it. Your purpose is not a backup plan, it's your lifeline, and when you're locked into it, women feel it. You're not texting all day, waiting on her replies. You're not sulking when she's cold. You're not unraveling every time she pulls away. Why? Because your life is full. You've got goals. You've got vision. You've got places to go, and she can either come along for the ride or get left behind. And if she leaves, you don't crumble. You rise. You use that pain as fuel. You hit the gym, you start the business. You deepen your faith, you build your empire, because your value was never in being loved by her. It was in fulfilling the calling inside you. The irony is, when you stop chasing women and start chasing purpose, women chase you, not because you're playing games, but because you've become rare. You've become solid, unavailable to foolishness, and she knows men like you don't come around often. Men like you don't wait around. Men like you don't need her, and that changes everything. So stop making her your focus. She is not your destination. She is a bonus, not the blueprint. Your life is the mission. Your growth is the goal. Your calling is the compass, and when you follow that, you don't lose women. You attract better ones. Ones who rise to meet you, not ones who drain you just to keep you. It's one of the most misunderstood forms of strength a man can ever develop. Most people hear the word and think it means coldness, that you don't care, that you're emotionally distant or unavailable. But that couldn't be further from the truth. Detachment isn't about not loving her, it's about not needing her love to survive. It's the moment you realize you can care deeply, give fully, feel everything, and still walk away when your peace is on the line. Detachment is loving her without losing yourself. It's seeing the red flags and not painting them white just because you're afraid to be alone. It's not detachment from her, it's detachment from the outcome, because a man who is emotionally detached doesn't crumble when she changes. He doesn't beg when she withdraws. He doesn't panic when her tone shifts or when she pulls away. He observes. He stays calm, he leans into his own clarity, and that silence, that grounded energy, it disarms her. See, emotional detachment is power. Not power over her, but power over yourself. It's the ability to feel everything but still act in alignment with your values. And when a woman feels that, she reacts. Suddenly, she's second-guessing her games. She's wondering why you're not reacting the way other men do, why you're not trying harder, why you're not fixing it. And the truth is, she knows she can't control you anymore. That's when the panic sets in, because emotional control was her leverage, and now it's gone, and no, this isn't about manipulating her emotions. It's about no longer letting her manipulate yours. Most men have been trained to believe that the more emotionally available they are, the more loved they'll be. But the reality is, being emotionally available without boundaries is like opening your home and letting someone walk through with muddy shoes, scratch the walls, and rearrange everything, and you just smile because you love them. That's not love, that's self-abandonment. Detachment says, I can love you and still walk away. I can forgive you and still choose myself. I can feel the hurt and still protect my peace. When you become that man, the game shifts, not because you're trying to win, but because you're no longer playing. And the thing is, she'll feel it. She'll feel the shift. She'll notice your silence. She'll check if you viewed her story. She'll overthink your last message, not because you're playing hard to get, but because you're finally hard to reach. You're not reacting anymore. You're not bleeding for someone who wouldn't even hand you a bandage. You're emotionally grounded now. Centered, whole, that's the man she respects. That's the man she regrets losing. So don't be afraid to detach. Because when you do it with self-respect, with clarity, and with peace, you don't become colder. You become stronger. And from that place, real love, the kind that doesn't need games, can finally begin. Let me say something to you that no one said when you were younger. You are the prize. Not because of what you have, not because of your looks or your status or your money, but because of who you're becoming. And until you believe that, you'll keep handing your worth to women who never deserved it in the first place. They told you she was the prize, that you had to win her, chase her, prove to her that you're good enough. That her attention was your reward if you behaved, if you performed, if you gave enough. But here's what they didn't tell you. The moment you make someone else the prize, you forget that you were never meant to compete. You were meant to lead. You are the prize when you walk in purpose. You are the prize when you honor your word. You are the prize when you set standards and hold them. You are the prize when you show restraint, when you don't fall for lust in a cheap dress or validation wrapped in fake affection. You are the prize when you stop choosing women out of loneliness and start choosing from wholeness. And yes, when you start to act like the prize, some women will call you arrogant. Let them. Because the truth is, a man who finally knows his worth terrifies a woman who only knew how to manipulate his insecurity. You become unpredictable, unreachable, and deeply attractive. But being the prize isn't about ego, it's about energy. It's the energy of a man who is full with or without her, who doesn't need her approval to feel like a man, who doesn't chase love because he is love, grounded, strong, and silent in his knowing. It's in how you carry yourself, how you speak, how you stop explaining your boundaries, how you stop apologizing for being unavailable to nonsense, how you stop shrinking so she can feel big. You don't beg to be understood anymore. You don't argue with disrespect. You just leave. That's the energy of a man who knows he is the prize. And here's what happens. The moment you truly walk in that truth, everything shifts. She starts to question herself. She starts to reflect. She realizes she's not dealing with just another man she can bend. She's standing in front of a mirror, a man who forces her to see her own behavior, a man who doesn't flinch when she withdraws, a man who doesn't fold when she tests him, because you're not afraid to lose her anymore. You're afraid to lose yourself. And that fear, that's sacred. That's the kind of fear that builds kings. So today, stop begging for a seat at her table. Build your own. Stop waiting to be chosen. Choose yourself. And when you do, something beautiful happens. You stop chasing love, and you start attracting women who respect honor and rise to meet you. Because a real woman knows. When a man walks like the prize, he doesn't ask to be seen. He is seen. There's a silence that comes when a man finally wakes up, when he stops begging to be seen and starts seeing himself, when he's no longer driven by fear of losing her, but by the